A little bit about the key purpose of Jenkins. Jenkins was created in 2004, and its whole objective is to perform continuous integration, and it's used for continuous delivery across the globe, across many different organizations. It's really good in the development stage. That's one of the reasons why we use this, is that as we're developing our branches in our repos, we then merge our changes back into the original source branch. And that's great, because it allows us to continually integrate any changes, however small or large they are, back into our source. So Jenkins does that very well. The next thing it has is testing. It's really, really good at you defining your automated tests. For example, your application, when going to this URL, maybe it's an API. So if you do a GET request on this URL, you should get certain features back. It tests those kind of things. And if it doesn't work, or if the test fails, then the build just stops. So it's a great way of just having a ground source of truth. My application needs to do these 3 or these 4 or these 100 things correctly every single time. Then there's the deployment. It's very good at then, after testing and seeing that your application is built properly, you can actually push this to a cloud deployment, for example, or a remote server where consumers can or clients can use your API. That's great. So that's what Jenkins is used for across the globe. So the continuous integration is the most important part of DevOps, and that's used to integrate over various DevOps stages. So Jenkins is always going to be the source of center of the DevOps architecture. So if we have like a build and a version control and continuous monitoring, we can, what's happening is Jenkins is going to facilitate all of those things. It's going to be doing your builds. It's going to be handling your version control. So it's going to be watching your Git and your GitHub. It's going to be doing some continuous monitoring so that as soon as you merge your commits back into a particular branch, it'll trigger certain scripts where it'll build things to a particular environment depending on the branch. You can also have continuous testing. So as you're merging in your tests, your commits, you're testing immediately to see if these commits have broken your application in any way. That's a great way to check continuously as you're developing to run your application and see that it's behaving appropriately. So Jenkins is great for that. It also has a configuration management tool so that you can also change different settings with Jenkins itself that you can then decide. For example, a particular configuration is deciding what cloud environment you want to push to or what happens after the build step. Those are all things that you can manage very well within the Jenkins configuration management schema that they have. And there's also continuous deployment. So after all these steps are good and our tests are great,